Dave Weinberg of the Press of Atlantic City, who's covered the Eagles. Dave, do you think this is the Eagles' biggest test to date, going to Seattle, which is very tough? Washington won in there and won, so would it be disappointing if you can't do the same?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Seattle was a tough place to play, though, although you wouldn't know it by the fact that they've lost their last 2 home games, which is, almost unheard of for them. But it's a very rowdy atmosphere. Seattle seems to be playing okay. They're right back in the playoff picture as far as the NFC West goes. So I think it's actually these next 2 games are probably going to be the truest test of how good the Eagles really are, going from Seattle over to Los Angeles and taking on the Rams after that.
Yeah, no, the game out there last year, Seattle won the game. It was kind of an ugly game, 25-16 or some kind of weird score like that, but the Eagles were just out there. So Carson Wentz has been in this atmosphere before. That's got to be something to help them that he has experienced, because you go out there for the first time, that could change some things.
Yeah, I think that the experience is definitely going to help. Like you said, last year was kind of an ugly game. It really wasn't all that close. I remember Seattle scored like 20 points in a row to kind of take control. And then, I don't know if you remember, that was the day that Nelson Aguilar kind of fell apart and got called for the penalty that brought a touchdown back, and then dropped the pass, and it was all downhill from there. So this is a different Nelson Aguilar going to Seattle. I think it's a different Eagles team going there too. So I think it'll be a different outcome. I'm not ready to say the Eagles are going to win it, but I think it'll be much closer though.
Dave, realistically for fans out there, I mean, what should they realistically expect in this 3-game trip with the Giants, Rams, and Seahawks?
Well, I'm looking for them to go at least 2-1. I mean, the Giants are a dumpster fire, benching Eli Manning, and everything's falling apart for them. I think they should be able to go at least split this West Coast game. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe them beating the Seahawks and then losing to the Rams. But, I mean, it could go either way. They could also win both games. So but I think they're in pretty good shape, though. They could actually clinch the NFC East as soon as tomorrow if the Cowboys lose to the Redskins. But they have bigger goals in mind, though. I know they have their eyes set on home field advantage for the playoffs. And going out to the West Coast and coming home with at least one win will go a long way towards helping them do that.
Would you be surprised? How surprised would you be is a better question if they went 3-0?
I mean, you can't be surprised considering the way they've been playing. I mean, they're not only winning, but they're blowing teams out. I mean, it's something ridiculous, like 20 points or more every time they take the field. And, they're clearly playing as the best team in the NFL. I mean, you can't discount Minnesota and some other teams, like you mentioned. Carolina's right there. Seattle's right there. The Rams, of course. New Orleans, Atlanta. I mean, there's a bunch of teams in the mix. But, no, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're 3-0. I mean, they're playing that well.
Dave, you look at Russell Wilson and what he's able to do and bring to a team and how he can extend plays. And the Eagles really haven't played a quarterback like him this season, other than maybe Cam Newton, but he wasn't exactly 100% back then when they played 2 months ago against the Panthers. So how do you expect, Jim Schwartz to attack and try to keep Russell Wilson contained?
Well, I think it'll help the fact that the Seahawks don't have much of a running game, so you really don't have to worry about that part of it. Russell's rushing, and this should be. They're gonna have to just play very disciplined football. I think. Don't get out of your lanes. Don't give him any room to get outside the pocket and make plays with his legs. If they can just stay disciplined, put some pressure on him without getting too aggressive, I think they'll be able to contain him. I think they'll do a pretty good job of containing him.
When you look at the Eagles, they've been blowing people out lately that, we were joking on here before. I mean, we've seen Nick Foles a lot the last few games, which tells you, they've called off the dogs in the fourth quarter. Do you expect or how much would you like to see the Eagles get into a bit of a fourth quarter game as they head down the back stretch here to get ready for the playoffs, where they have to kind of get through a fourth quarter and hold off another team?
Yeah, I mean, even Doug mentioned that after the game on Sunday, where he's almost kind of looking forward to them getting tested. It'll give them a chance to see what they really have, how they respond to adversity, how they can respond to a challenge. That hasn't been the case as, for the last, 2 months now. But I think in the back of their minds, they're kind of hoping that maybe some team will push them to the limit a little bit, and then they'll be able to really show what they're made of, as opposed to, just cruising through and having Nick Foles out there for the last 10 minutes of the game.
Talking with Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City, covers the Eagles. They're going to Seattle this weekend. And, one of the things, they had the penalties last week, 11 for 70 yards, the 3 fumbles, and yet they still win 31-3. It seems that even in the areas where they need to clean up a little bit, it still hasn't really hampered them. But as we know, you can't win like that in the playoffs. So is this a team, Dave, that you view as undisciplined?
No, I don't think they're undisciplined. I think that was just a rarity more than anything. I know they had a bunch of penalties a couple of weeks before, but that was more due to the officiating crew than anything else. I think maybe they just lost focus a little bit against the Bears because they knew they were so much better than them. Once they got off to the big lead, they kind of, I don't want to say put it on cruise control, but I think they weren't as focused and disciplined as they normally are. But no, I don't view them as undisciplined at all. I mean, I don't see this as an every week occurrence. And I think, when they're playing tougher teams and they have to bear down a little bit more, then I think they'll cut down on the penalties.
So the other night I'm at the Sixers game, and I don't want to say I was talking to LeBron James, but I was in the vicinity of a conversation that he was having. More on that tomorrow show, by the way. And it was funny just hearing him. This was off the record, not like off the record that nobody could talk about it, but he had no cameras in his face. He was just sitting there having a conversation with somebody. And the conversation is him unsolicitedly saying, man, that Carson Wentz, he's the best player in the league. He's so much fun. I get up at 9 o'clock to get ready for, NFL Countdown. And the fact that this guy is that well known and has that much going, how grounded he is. And he talked about that today. He was asked about being an MVP candidate. Have you ever seen somebody handle the stuff like this, like the way he is? I mean, the LeBron James, who might be the most recognizable athlete on the planet, is sitting there talking about how he loves watching Carson Wentz. He actually, by the way, said that he sees Eagles-Patriots in the Super Bowl.
That's interesting.
Apparently, LeBron's a big-time Cowboy fan. To give the Eagles that credit was a little surprise, and that Wentz is his favorite player.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of neat. There's a credit to Carson, too, that he's not letting this stuff get to him. I mean, Mike Trout's the best baseball player on the planet. He's obviously a big Carson Wentz fan. Now you got LeBron chiming in, and it's but to Carson's credit, he's a North Dakota guy at heart, has that kind of that Midwestern kind of attitude where he doesn't get too high, too low, very grounded, very humble. And I think that's going to bode well for him, too. I mean, too often you see guys kind of buy into their own hype, get a little bit too full of themselves, I guess. But I don't think that's going to be the case with him, and I think that's really going to pay off for him down the line.
All right, Dave, by the way, a couple of congratulatory things for Dave. You will be inducted into the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, so congratulations on that, Dave.
Congrats, Dave.
Oh, thanks.
And also,
that means I'm old, I guess.
He was also named a finalist for New Jersey Sports Writer of the Year. So another congratulations to you.
Congratulations to you, too. I know you're a finalist for Sportscaster, right?
That is right. It's because you're on the show every Wednesday.
Oh, fantastic. Hopefully we'll both win.
We will. We could take the flight to North Carolina together if we win.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Congratulations, Dave. We appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Dave.
Well, thanks, Mike. I really do appreciate it.